Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, so we'll call to order the Sunnyvale 4B Economic Development Board meeting for Tuesday, August 11th at 5:33 p.m. We'll open up with a public forum. The 4B Board of Directors invites citizens to address the board on any matter, including items on the agenda, except public hearings that are included in the agenda. Comments related to the public hearing will be heard when the specific hearing starts. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes, unless otherwise reported by law, required by law. The board is not permitted to take any action or discuss any item not listed on the agenda. And please keep comments relevant to 4B economic development.
We don't have any hands raised.
Okay. So we'll close the public forum at 5:34 p.m. and move on to agenda item number 1, discuss, consider, and approve the minutes from the July 14, 2020 board meeting. Anybody have any corrections or edits?
I reviewed. I didn't have any changes.
Thank you, Sarah.
Looks good.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from Tuesday, July 14th, 2020 for the
Motion
4B
made.
Economic Development Board.
Motion made by member Bradford,
I second that, Nair.
seconded by member Nair. All in favor, please state your name. Wise,
Bradford,
Anthony,
Torres.
Chatter.
okay, Paul, did you speak up? Sorry. I heard everybody but K Paul, but see that he's on, so. Motion passes anyways. I have to confirm if K Paul voted on it. Move on to discussion item number 2, discuss, consider, and approve.
President, I just wanted to let you know that K Paul just texted me that he's muted for some reason. So Burton, can you just check him and verify you've got him unmuted?
Yeah, it's not showing up. He's not showing up as having video or audio.
And you moved him to being, actually in the webinar, like a participant.
What was that?
I just want to verify that you have him moved as a participant. Like if you, on that blue box with the 3 dots, if you click on that blue box, I just want to make sure he's listed as a participant. Do you see
Yeah,
it?
I mean, the only options are make a host, co-host.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I see everyone there, but there's not like a mute button or a video for him. I wonder if he needs to start his audio on his computer.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, Paul, if you can hear us, you might want to try going out, coming back in, and when you come back in, there's going to be it'll ask you, do you want to start with audio or video? Okay. I'll let you know if he says anything more.
Okay. We'll move on to discussion item number 2, the July 2020 financial reporting and related items, and turn that over to member Bradford.
thank you. So staff prepared our July financials. It looks like we had revenues of $68,458.18 with expenses of $21,122. And those expenses were entirely made up of payroll, planning, legal, professional services. Doesn't appear to have any expenditures for any projects this month. So our ending fund balance is $3,123,147 as of the end of July. And of course, you can review the details. If you have any questions, looks like our sales tax revenue is up when compared to the prior year and slightly up compared to last month. So I didn't have any questions for staff on the numbers. So I'll turn it over to the group for any questions.
That's good to see the tax report again. I like that report.
Yeah. Thanks again, Phyllis, for your work on all this.
Any questions on the financials? No questions. Can I get a motion to approve?
Member Anthony, I make a motion to approve.
Made by member Anthony,
Shatter will second.
seconded by member Shatter. Once again, all those in favor, please state your name. Wise,
Bradford.
Shatter.
Torres.
It's okay, Paul needs to unmute his thing. He's there now.
Chris, did you state your name same time as Sarah?
He stated at the same time as Nikki.
Oh, okay.
There's K Paul. We should hear him now. K Paul.
I can see his name on the screen, but
Yeah, and it shows he's on audio. You say something, K Paul? Huh. It doesn't show he's muted. I don't know.
well, we'll get his vote again afterwards, but motion passes. Move on to agenda item number 3, discuss, consider, and accept the final survey and purchase agreement for the Lake Ray Hubbard SES Rail Spur related to the Rails to Trails project. And I'll turn that back over to Burton and Susan.
I think President Wise and board, I think we would just, we had this item on here in case everything was finalized. I don't think we're at that point. So Susan, did you have anything to add?
Not really. They are making progress. So, I mean, I'm getting literally weekly emails from them. This week, the email was from the title company and from Luminant, just working on the survey. So they have the surveys substantially done. I think they were going to go out and stake the corners this week. The piece that's really kind of outstanding is the negotiation with Encore on releasing the blanket easements. And if you recall, we brought an item to you guys, I think last month, extending the window of time once they finish everything so that we have time if we have any concerns to bring it back to you guys. So we went back and forth. I don't know, Burton, if you saw that this week where I kept saying, you know, it was almost like they were trying to say they were done. And I kept saying, well, wait, the blank or the easements from Encore are not shown on this survey. And so I actually emailed Jeff and I said, hey, do you agree with me that we need that piece of information finalized and depicted on the survey before we accept. And he wrote back and said, absolutely, that's what we need. So that's what we're waiting for right now. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions or anything?
No.
Getting close. So we'll get, so then we'll move on to item number 4, update on projects. Same thing, turn that back over to Burton.
So our first item on here was the 2020-2021 proposed budget. Susan, did you want to discuss that?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. We originally would have been very close to adoption right now. I don't know how many of you watched the council meeting, but kind of in a nutshell, what has happened this year is, I think due to COVID, the Dallas County extended the protest date for people to protest their property taxes. Our protests went from 40 million in value to over 400 million in value. It just, I think, kind of the sign of the times that everybody protested their property taxes. So what that did to us was, at a time when normally we would have pretty good idea of what our values are, we don't. It's we're pretty far from having that solidified. They probably won't resolve all the protests until the end of August, at least August 20th. We'll have substantial completion of all of those hearings. And at that point, we'll get information that'll allow us to really have a good handle on what our tax rate will be. Up until that point, we did have to declare a max tax rate, which the council voted on at the prior meeting. We don't believe that that's where we'll end up at all, but we legally had to take that action. So we have it on, we redid our budget calendar. So we now have a meeting on, bear with me a moment, September 14th at 7 p.m. will be our public hearing for the budget and the tax rate. Then we'll have the first reading of the ordinance on September 17th and the adoption and second reading of the ordinance on September 18th. So you see, we pushed everything significantly back so that we'll have as much time as possible to know what the outcome of those protests were, and then have a really good handle on what our values are, which is how we then determine the tax rate. Our goal is to keep it as flat as possible, but it all depends on where we end up with values. So I'm happy to answer any questions. You know, it's a little convoluted, but it's a really unusual year. And Phyllis is on here too. She's, you know, her and Liz and Gretchen are working hand in hand with us to get this figured out. Phyllis, is there anything you want to add to what I said?
No, I don't have anything, Susan.
Okay.
I guess my question is, because this is the 4B budget, but I guess we want to wait till the town finalizes the primary budget.
Well, it's all, you know, you all already voted on your budget, but the town council has to adopt your budget as part of their budget.
Okay.
So your budget doesn't get adopted until their budget gets formally adopted. And so, you know, it all goes as one. So we normally would be done, you know, kind of by the end of August. And this year we're just having to push it back to wait. And like I said, I really think the turning point was the dramatic increase in the amount of
Right.
protests, and then or extending the date protests were allowed. And so it just kind of eked into the rest of the process. So it's just a really unusual year.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
Doesn't sound like any questions, so we move on to the COVID-19 business incentive programs.
So received one additional funding request. There was some additional information that I requested. Just additional detail in terms of helping to make the decision, give the group some additional things to consider. I did reach out to there were two businesses that we were waiting on additional information. I reached back out to them. I haven't gotten a response from them either. Those were some of the original early on applicants. From our last meeting, I know we had discussed there were a few businesses that had requested marketing help. I reached back out to them to see if that was something that they were still needing, and basically they said that it wasn't necessary anymore, that their business had pretty much bounced back once the orders to reopen were given. So we're still publicizing the program, and we still have money left in the program for funding. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
Barring any questions, we'll move on to Glazier.
Okay, we actually had the concept review meeting with the committee and some town staff. Some of the things we discussed, I know Member Anthony was there and Susan was there. Just kind of the highlights were the concept plan, the elevations for the barn, floor plan, the water, electrical, sewer, all utilities, some cost estimates. There were several items that were still being discussed to see if we could just more on the cost. There was also some discussion about an open air concept versus a fully closed in barn. Susan, if you or Member Anthony have anything you'd like to add.
The only thing that I would add is, I mean, I think it's really looking beautiful, and it may need to be a little less beautiful if we're going to meet the budget. Right now, I have asked Lyle and Doug to really look at what they submitted to us, because it's coming in several $100,000 over budget. And so, and that was the budget that they set. So now it might be somewhat that, we're asking for stone on the bottom part, so that it would fit into the Sunnyvale look. But there are a couple areas that we specifically are looking at. And one of them is the fire lane. They designed it with kind of a big half circle fire lane, and it's probably a lot more than we need. And that was a significant cost. It was over, I want to say it's over $150,000 for the fire lane. So I asked Lyle to take a look at that with Doug Kendrick, our fire chief, and see, if they could do a design that would allow them to get in and out and not be as big. But obviously safety comes first, but they're going to look at that. There was also an issue with the water line that we might be able to do something that would be less costly. And then the other thing is, on the 24th, the council will be hearing the discussion about the location for the fire station. And it's really important, because if they vote to go there, and I don't want to, try and wade into that tonight at all. I mean, for staff, we're just presenting options. But if they vote to go there, it does dramatically affect the cost of that other facility, the barn, because there could be shared expenses. So one of the biggest expenses is running the sewer line. There's not sewer service to that spot, so it's having to be brought down. It's a very costly item. But if we were building the fire station, we're gonna have to bring it down anyway. So you would take that probably significantly out of the barn budget, move it into the fire station budget, and then they would just have a connect fee. So there's some things, and the other thing is maybe some, potential of some other shared infrastructure if that's the location of the fire station, but we won't know that till the 24th when they look at all the locations. So I don't want to get too carried away with value engineering this until we know the answer to that, because it might solve the budget issues. Once that's resolved, we asked them to send us some photos of what like the open air concept is, because they said it would be significantly less costly. So we're kind of looking at all of that. And as Burton mentioned, member Anthony was on that call. Nikki, do you want to add anything to what our comments were?
I'll just say that I feel like in general, we're moving in the right direction. I really like the more expensive design, but I also am intrigued by the open air design too. So I think it's two good options. But I do think there's so much that's still left up in the air. It's kind of wasting all of our time to go over it too much, because it depends a lot on whether the fire station is going to go there or not, or whether or not the open air concept would reduce the cost enough for it to make sense. So anyway, but I just want to say I do think we're making progress, and I think we're headed in the right direction. So that's a good thing.
I'm kind of excited to hear the potential of an open air concept. I hadn't thought about it for this particular location, but I've seen them around the country, and they're actually really neat, depending on the style. Usually the ones I've seen have a courtyard or like horseshoe shaped.
Yeah, it was strange to me that that's never come up before this past meeting as an option, because I felt like the one picture they pulled up and showed us was really still in keeping with the town. And if it helps with the budget, that would be even better. So I don't know.
Neat.
Yeah, I also wonder if, if they do decide to put the fire station there, believe if I remember correctly, then the barn area would need to be pushed further to the north. So I don't know if that, from a design perspective anyway, so I don't know if that would impact the cost at all either, as far as the location of where the barn would go on the property, grading or whatnot. So yeah, I think it's best to get some answers on that before anybody spends too much more time.
Yeah, they had talked too about the more expensive design that they come up with, that would work well to, they could do a matching design for the fire station. I don't know with the open air concept if that would also work, so that would need to be answered too.
So the barn pictures that we saw a while back, so has it been narrowed down from those in your discussions?
We did send, it was the one with kind of the stone on the front, dormer window look.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the one that I sent you all, and everybody, most people pick that for that site. Most people pick that location or that look. And then I just want to mention, just in response to your comment or question about the location, right now, when the fire station consultant places the layout of the fire station on the property, it allows the barn to stay where we've been planning for it. Now, I'm not saying that 100% would stay true throughout the process, but right now there's nothing that tells me it would have to move at this point. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what the mayor had said at the council meeting, that if they did choose that location, then they would basically kind of go back to the drawing board and do a full design of both pieces. together. But yeah, you're right. It may end up in the same general vicinity.
Yeah, I think so at this point, but you know, that only constant is that things change. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Then can we move on to Jobson, barring any other questions on Glacier? Jobson also has the potential of the fire stations.
Probably lower potential would be my guess.
Yeah. Any currently owned Sunnyvale land has the,
Yeah, I think they took Jobson. I mean, I don't think they formally said it's off the list, but they didn't ask us to come back on it.
Okay.
They had asked us to come back after the last meeting on Glacier and Town Hall and anything else that the consultant that for the response times points to. So that's kind of what will happen on the 24th. So I don't think really Jobson's on the table as far as I can tell anymore. And I don't think it's, I mean, just in my professional opinion, it doesn't gain us enough in response
Right.
time. So, but I think Burton has other updates about things going on at Jobson Park.
yep.
So we had, I guess it was the last month's meeting, or maybe even the month before, we had discussed making some improvements over there to the batting cage. So I did get all of the estimates. We're working on scheduling that work to take place. Also, the framework for the batting cage and new netting was part of that project. So I'm just waiting on a few more estimates to come in, so we make sure we're getting the best price on that. But everything's moving forward. I would like to get the framework at the very least and the netting before we start the concrete project, because if possible, we'd like to have those anchors set into the concrete. So just be a little cleaner look. If not, then we have to do it outside of the slab. That would work too. And that's pretty much what we've been working on at Jobson.
So are you,
Any questions?
the cage and the net that was there was basically a, portable, you could take it apart, put it back up anywhere you want. So we're basically replacing that with doing the pavement with a custom fit to whatever the slab is, or vice versa, the slab will fit the system that we're buying potentially.
Right, this would be more of a,
Like
this
the
would
high
be
school?
more like, yeah, it would be like four, if you can imagine, four arches that come over the top, spaced out across 70 feet. And then
Okay.
the netting actually hangs down from that.
So it's still just one lane?
It should give them the usage inside the cage. It should open it up. I mean, if you go in there now, it's kind of tight.
Right.
But it should open it up a little bit.
Good.
Any other questions?
Rails to trails, we kind of already covered, unless anybody has anything
Correct.
else to add. So we'll move on to Vineyard.
Okay, so the paving improvements, those started last Monday. They've been working really quickly. The old parking lot's gone. They've already started working on stabilizing the site. I believe if everything stays on track, the contractor has talked about possibly having asphalt by the end of this week. I don't think it'll be finalized and ready to go, but we have had a few parking issues over there. I know we had a few over the weekend. Had a reservation, talk to the folks on Saturday. So it was just, those types of things are gonna happen when you completely remove that many parking spaces out of the mix. So hopefully it wraps up quickly, just pretty much in time for soccer season to start. And I think it'll be a whole lot better surface than we had going. So, any questions on that item? No? Okay, moving on to the Parks Master Plan. I don't know, have you all received your postcards yet in the mail? No?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So the link for the survey is live. It's on our website, under the Parks tab. I can send you all the link now that it's actually live, but it's townofsunnyvale.org/Parks Master Plan Survey. I got some signs made to put up in the parks. Those came in, I believe they came in this week. And there's a QR code on there so that folks can actually take the survey right then and there. And I plan to put those out in the park. So really only just a couple of signs for each property. Primarily I was thinking placing them near the parking area so people would see them. They're double-sided, so. And that survey is going to be open until September the 7th. So, any other questions on that item?
No.
Guess we're good. So move forward to discussion item number 5, discuss future agenda items and events.
I'll mention a few chamber events if you don't mind. This coming Tuesday on the 18th, we're going to have a Zoom breakfast meeting. Our 2 state elected officials, Senator Hall and Representative Bowers, will be talking on that Zoom call. It's from 8 to 9 a.m. And then, and there'll be information on our website. We don't have the Zoom information yet. We're registering to get Zoom again. And then for September on the 16th, we're going to do our quarterly luncheon via Zoom. And Doug Williams is going to give an update from the school district. And we're also going to have some of the students singing on that Zoom luncheon.
What date was that?
September the 16th is on a Wednesday from 11:30 to 1. And the breakfast next Tuesday is from 8 to 9 a.m. As soon as we get the Zoom information, we'll add it to our website at sunnyvalechamber.com.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on future agenda items or events? If not, we'll move to executive session, and per the instructions that were emailed to us earlier, we each need to mute. They're going to mute us, but if you can keep your Zoom open, but turn yourself off so you can turn yourself back on and then dial in with the information on the email. Any other instructions? Do I need to say we're adjourning at 6:07 into executive session?
Burton, did he vote?
What was that, Susan?
I was just verifying that he voted to go into executive session, but
I don't think we took a vote. I'm gonna head down that direction though, okay?
Is everybody back?
We're all here.
I failed to ask for a vote to go into executive session, so we'll have to vote to come out of executive session. So we had the time stated already for when we went in, so we'll vote to come out. Please state your name. Wise.
Anthony,
Sarah Bradford.
Chatter.
Nair.
Torres.
Maybe that was Cash. So we have adjourned from executive session, no actions taken, and we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:44 PM. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Safe travels home, Burton.
Okay. Bye-bye.